people have seen interactions between many different types of animals. I know myself, living on a farm, have seen a lot of interactions between people. Franz de Waal has also seen a lot, and he has done a lot of research. He has done research on morality, empathy, and other complex expressions that animals can show. I can tell you a little bit about my experience on the farm. So I grew up with a lot of animals. We raised pigs, we raised cows. At one point we had goats and sheep and a horse. And I've also had a lot of cats and a lot of dogs. So I've seen a lot of different kinds of interaction between different kinds of animals. And when I first grew up, I didn't view animals as very complex creatures. So I didn't know that they could show the kind of complex emotions that we can, but a lot of them actually can. And so now, after doing this research, I view animals more as complex creatures. So Franz has done a lot of research, as I said, on morality and everything. When he first started his research, it was all about animals' aggression and the competition of whether you win or lose. And he was doing research on chimpanzees, and he noticed that after a chimpanzee had a fight, both of them climbed to the top of the trees, and one held out the hand to the other, and they reconciled. So they showed how they understood that they needed to make up that relationship because they didn't want to lose it. So in philosophy, they have a image. It's a man as a wolf to man. So this isn't a very fair image for the wolf or humanity. It shows a very gruesome image. So wolves are actually very cooperative and empathetic animals, and humanity is also very empathetic and cooperative. So it needs to not be a very gruesome image because we are very complex creatures. So this all ties in with morality. Morality is, it has two qualities. One is reciprocity, which is the sense of justice and the sense of fairness. And it also has the empathy and compassion part of it, which is what you see in a lot of animals. So animals can show empathy through a lot of different ways. Whenever you come home, if you're sad, your dog may start to jump on you and be really happy, and then they notice that there's something not right and you feel sad or something. And they can tell this because they have that empathy. And so what they'll do is they'll lay next to you and maybe put their head on you, or they'll rub up against you, something to try to console you. So there's two qualities of empathy. One is the understanding part of it, and two is the emotional part of it. So if you're talking with a sad person, you'll start to adapt the sad expression and a sad posture. So you may be leaning forward, slouching, have a frowny face on you, and eventually you'll start to actually feel sad. And that's the emotional part of empathy. You can also show empathy with yawn contagion. So as we know, if you see someone yawn, for the most part, you're gonna yawn. And we won't see this as much in autistic children because they don't show empathy as well as other people. So if you see an autistic child, they may not yawn if you yawn. And you can also study this with animals. So if you have a dog at home, you can, if you sit in front of them and you act like you're yawning, and eventually, as long as you're very in tune with your animal and they're very attached to you, eventually your dog will yawn, and that shows you how they have that empathy. So there's other complex expressions that animals can show. One is consolation. So, if you get in a fight, or if, say, your best friend breaks up with their boyfriend, you're gonna go console her and make her feel a little bit better. And animals do this too. So if you have multiple animals in the home and one, say, breaks their leg or gets sick or something and they have to have surgery, and then they come home and they obviously don't feel their best and they're really sad or they're just not feeling good, they'll normally lay down a lot and not play around with your other animals as much as they would. So your other animals can see this and they'll go over and they may lay next to her, or they'll lick whatever part they may have hurt, and this is all consolation. So as you can see, animals do have morals and they show a lot of different expressions.